Something I find beautiful about these plants is the way that they are so resilient. Even if I forget to give them water for a couple days, they still perk up, hopefully, after a little while. I really love the quiet way that plants exist. It is very peaceful to have so many other living things in my room with me. These are organisms that don't need attention all the time. They are very low maintenance. This helps ground me in my room and allows me to realize my very important part in both the plants' lives and my own life. When you have indoor plants, it is important to place them as close to the sunlight as possible. The further away from the light, the less they will be able to photosynthesize. This creates a plant with no nutrients to grow and create new leaves. With my plants, I have found that when they are moved closer to my window, my light source, they are able to thrive. The only problem with this is that I've run out of space to put all my plants. These are the plants I've had the longest. Some of the issues I've had with them were accidentally burning them with too much fertilizer, learning a new watering schedule, and making sure that they have enough light. This is my air plant, and I have had this plant for about 2 years as well. It has stayed around the same size until recently. It started to flower. It produced beautiful purple flowers adorned with bright orange pollen. Blooming is a double-edged sword. The original air plant will die by drying out after flowering, but not before producing other baby air plants. Baby air plants are exciting, but I am nervous to be responsible for them. Young plants are very temperamental and need to be observed and attended to in a very timely manner. This plant resides in a glass house hanging in my window. Because it is blooming, it does not fit in its little house, so I have moved it to a little plate in the window. This way, the plant will be able to grow freely without the constraints of a quote-unquote roof. This is my Dracaena plant. It hangs in my window now, and it has been moved from further away to closer to the sunlight, and I can see visible improvement in both color and growth. This is my golden pothos. I've had this plant for 2 years, since December of 2020. It has grown so much that I put it in 2 different pots to separate the plants. One of these pots is further away from the light, and I have not seen any new growth. One of my solutions is hopefully to add grow lights above the plant in order to simulate natural light. Hopefully I see some new growth. This is my American rubber plant, one of the most durable plants in my room. This is one of the only plants that wasn't affected by my too much fertilizer accident. This plant has stayed the same size, and I have not seen much growth in leaves and stem. This plant can go longer without water than most of my other plants, and this is probably due to its thicker, almost succulent-like leaves. These thicker leaves help retain water and cause less respiration. This is my Guyana chestnut plant. This is the plant closest to my window, and I constantly see new growth. This is one of the plants that was most susceptible to fungus gnats, and I'm pretty sure it's because it's one of the most thriving plants I have. This is my dragon tree. Here you can see 3 different plants thriving together. This plant has moved from further away to closer to the window, and there have been many more leaves in much healthier colors. I have a mini dragon tree on my desk, which I did not realize till I tried to classify all my plants. I'm not sure if it is mini or just a baby one, but it is growing pretty tall. Here you can see my elephant ear plant. This is one of the different species of the elephant ear plant, though I have not been able to specifically categorize it. This plant I have found has many leaves that have water droplets. This is quote-unquote transpiration as water moves through the plant and evaporates from its leaves, stem, and flowers. Leaves dripping water is a natural occurrence, just like people sweating. I thought this was a very important fun fact because I have been wondering about it for a while. This plant is also very susceptible to fungus gnats. The fungus gnats themselves are actually not that detrimental to the plant, but for me, they were very annoying. To have little gnats flying around my face when I was trying to relax was very irritating. To combat this problem all at once, I looked up natural remedies. I did not want to hurt my plants with chemicals, so instead I bought neem oil, a natural oil and pesticide that is found in seeds from the neem tree, and I mixed it with warm water. The temperature of the water mixes the oil into the water. It is very important to make sure that the water isn't too hot or you might burn the plant. Then you spray this onto the soil and the roots and repeat it for a couple of weeks. This is my gorgeous string of pearls plant. This is a relatively new plant that I have found is a succulent. Usually I don't gravitate towards succulents because they're deceivingly low maintenance, but this one was too pretty. It is sitting in a basket hanging in my window, and it has plenty of room to grow itself out, which is what I want. When thriving, these plants trail down the side of the pot. This is my monstera plant. This is a relatively new plant for me, but it caught my eye because of its beautiful leaf structure and color. Because of these characteristics, it has been made very popular and very expensive recently. This is a tropical plant, but does not seem too affected by a less than tropical amount of water. A lot of water would probably help it grow dramatically more, but it also runs the risk of root rot if there isn't proper drainage. This plant also needs to be rotated, but it is a little better at self-regulating since it staggers the size and height of its leaves on its own. Fun fact, the leaves have holes because in its natural habitat, the rainforest, there is a lot of competition. This forced the plant to adapt new ways to spread out without wasting too much energy. The plant expanded its surface area by leaving holes in places the leaf couldn't get sunlight and prioritizing the areas where it could, having more surface area there. In my plant, I have a couple leaves that don't have holes at all, and I take this as a good sign that it is getting a lot of sunlight that it needs. One question I had for myself was, are plants classified by species? I've found that there's a science called plant taxonomy. This is the science of naming organisms and placing them in a hierarchical structure, each level given a name. So from broadest to most specific, there is kingdom, division, or phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. I think this is very interesting because it helps me classify and identify my plants and research specific things to help them grow. I would like to understand how to read the plants better, how to understand when they need more water, more sun, and better fresh air. I would also like to understand how to better the plant's living conditions and how to help them grow abundantly.